The first set was more of a feeling out process to see who had what kind of firepower, and both teams showed off their new toys as they tested each other's power. One smash here is met with a return fire there as they tested the waters to see what works or what doesn't. But because of the talent on both sides of the net, there was some long rallies as both sides showed off their athleticism and determination to stay in the point. That's until something dynamic happened. Eventually, SEPOS in the blue tops would surge to a 6-4 lead as they tried to create some daylight between them and their opponents. But Technocrats were not ready to roll over just yet and kept finding ways to stick around. Brandon Legal and company were finding their range now, and eventually they would kick it into gear and open up a big advantage for SEPOS as they closed in on the first set. To their credit, Technocrats tried to stay alive in this one. But with every action comes a reaction from SEPOS, and this time Legal rises up to deliver the hammer. Akeem Burke would join the fun at the net as he sends it back from where it came, and SEPOS were in cruise control now. However, Technocrats would momentarily halt the runaway train that was Big SEPOS with this dig from Nicholas Prescott. But they would eventually take the opening set when the veteran Nolan Tash intervenes with the final word, and they celebrated a 26-16 triumph in the first. There is confirmation as SEPOS draws first blood. Technocrats tried to get off to a fast start in the second set, and for a while it worked early in the second set as they looked to ambush SEPOS. It worked momentarily as they led briefly. But SEPOS would knot up the scores at 3 apiece with this response. From there, they started to roll as they got it into gear after weathering the early Technocrat storm. What is it they say? The cream always rises to the top? Well, SEPOS was relying on their bottle of vintage wine now as Tash came to the fore. Technocrats would keep fighting and had their moments, but they were up against it after spotting SEPOS a big lead. Prescott to the rescue there. However, SEPOS would grind it out and took the second set as well, 25-15 for a 2-0 lead. Technocrats then threw everything at SEPOS as they tried to avoid being swept. Prescott upped his game and his power kept Technocrats out front. However, the experienced SEPOS outfit would claw their way back into contention with a serious run that saw the lead dwindle until it literally disappeared. They used their defense to good effect, and when necessary uncorked the power to score vital points as it reached 24-22 SEPOS within 2. Then it became a 1-point game when Legal rose up with this tomahawk. And he would be on spot again to level things at 24 apiece as SEPOS went for the bagel. But Technocrats would hold their nerve, and even though things were tight at 26 all, they eked out the win. It came at 28-26 on this errant smash by SEPOS, and we had a 4th set. In the 4th, SEPOS ensured that there will be no more easy looks for Technocrats and surged out to an early lead and kept the pressure on. Technocrats were fighting an uphill battle now and never really had a look in once SEPOS took control. The men in blue were pulling out all the stops and found ways to kill off their opponents. That's not to say Technocrats just lay down and died. They still fought the good fight, but just didn't have the firepower necessary to do battle with SEPOS in this mood. They were up 24-12 with 12 set points, but Technocrats were still fighting and saved 2 of those set points to make it 24-14 to keep their slim hopes alive. But before too long, SEPOS and their fans were celebrating a big win. when this one caught the apex in the far corner, and it was game, set and match. 25-14 the final, as SEPOS can breathe a huge sigh of relief to have finally captured the big one after over a decade of trying and coming up short. Ruskin Mark, C Sports Extra.